Hello everyone, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer and welcome to a new playthrough video for 5 Leagues from the Borderlands, excuse me. It's been a while since I've played this. I am back to the table now, playing some games and trying to catch up. So the last time I left you, I had already done one battle report, which was it was a sight battle against some goblins. And I succeeded in the objective, but the goblins, they really made my life miserable. I did have one casualty that I used a story point to bring him back. I think I re-rolled. I'd have to go back and check, but I think I re-rolled on the injury chart, and that character survived. One of the things, before I get started and explain the setup here, I want to tell you that one of the things I hear most about this game is how difficult it is. It is. It is difficult. But what I want to remind you is that you have options in this game that I do see a lot of playthrough. I watch playthrough videos, and I have seen that players tend to forget some things. One thing they forget is they can use their story points to change aspects of the game. They can use story points to like re-roll something, but if you re-roll, you have to take the result. You can use story points to change conditions. Like for instance, let's say you rolled that you were going to be facing goblins, but the goblins just didn't fit with the particular setting or whatever. You could burn a story point and say, no, I'm going to change those to skeletons. Maybe you were, in a crypt beneath a cemetery. Goblins just don't fit with that, but skeletons do. So you could burn a story point. So as you're playing this game, you need to remember you have story points to use. Now, there's 2 other ways that you can affect the story. Some of your characters will have will points, not all. 2 of mine do. My wizard and my preen named Clack, who I'll introduce you to in a minute. They have will points, and those recover at the end of a game, of a combat setting. So you should use them. Will points can be used for a variety of things. You can burn one to move an additional 4 inches. You can burn one to go ahead and, no matter your activation roll, your initiative roll, you can burn one to force that character, to act in the quick phase. You can burn one to remove a stunned status and gain initiative during a melee combat. And then finally, a wizard can burn one to add 2 to a. I'm trying to remember. I think it's the wizard can add a roll. I think it's 2 to a spell casting roll. I'll have to double check that again. And then finally, in addition to will points, some characters have luck points, and luck points can be used to change things, especially like post game. You could burn a luck. The rules say you can burn a luck point to change a game from a bad fate, like an injury or a death, to a character living. And I've used a story point for that, but you can also use luck. All right, so let's get to what you're seeing here. This particular, one of the things I just absolutely find incredible about this game is the sheer number of types of scenarios that your fantasy characters can encounter. I've only done one so far. It was an above ground combat against goblins. And here, what I have is what's called a delve. Now, I've never played a delve before in this game. And a delve is a little different than a standard tabletop combat with 5 leagues where you're just going up against an enemy and there's an objective and you got to meet it. There are objectives here, but the setting is a little different, as you can see. Now, I've gone ahead and laid out what's considered part of a dungeon. Now, in the rules, the delve will have levels. It can have a level 1. It can have a level 2. And as you go down, there will be rolls that determine, is this the last level of this dungeon? And I think it can go all the way down to 4 levels. So this is level 1. And at the end of this game, I believe in the post rolls, I'll roll to see if this is the only level. I don't believe it is. I think you can have I think the minimum levels is 2. So, but in this scenario, my party is going to explore this dungeon. And what they're looking for is these chests. I'm using these to represent exploration markers or small chests. They don't necessarily mean that it's treasure that they'll encounter. Could be a trap. Could be a sleeping monster. You never know. But they have to get in contact with the exploration marker. Dang it. I was filming. It's okay. I just thought you were still sleeping. It's fine. I'll start it. I thought you already peed. I thought you already peed. Because you got to pee every 30 minutes. Oh. It's fine. Come on, Willow. Willow! You don't get it. I already gave her a treat for her first week. No, I gave her a full one. I gave her a full one. Sorry about that. Got interrupted. Let's see. Where was I? Okay. So the heroes are going to try to explore the dungeon and find out what these exploration tokens represent. To fulfill the objective of this game, I need to examine or explore 3 of them. Now, the dungeon starts with 1 exploration marker per warband member. I have 6, so there are 6 placed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think the video is set up in such a way you can see them all. Now, obviously this would not be much of a challenge if it was just go to the exploration marker and see what it is. There are monsters in this dungeon. And the way they are determined is you can roll randomly to see what the creatures are that are sort of inhabiting the dungeon. However, another set of rules in the rulebook tells you that you can start at the top of a table and move down. And why would you want to do that? Because the creatures on the tables, there's different types of collections of creatures. There's undead, there's bandits, you get the idea. The ones in the dungeon, it tells you in a delve, you're going to be using what's called the Lurking Foes enemy table. And it's a set of foes that you will use when you do a delve. Now, I could roll randomly, it's a D100, but the rules say that you can also start at the top. Encounter the first one, and on the next time I do a delve, I go to the second one, and the next time I do a delve, I go to the third one. And this way they're getting more complex and more difficult. So I'm going to start with giant rats. This first level is nothing but a bunch of giant rats. I already what you do, and I'm going to do this live for you here, or at least live on the video. You roll 2d6 to determine the number of creatures that are in the dungeon, and you roll 2 and you pick the highest. So I rolled a 2 and a 4. So there are 4 rats. However, the rats table says that their number is actually +5. So there are 9 rats. I have 12, so that's good. I can just pull aside 9. 3, 6, 9. Now, the rules for deploying the enemy tell you to break them up into groups of 3. So that's a nice round number. 9 goes into 3. And what you do is you number your treasures. So I won't do this every time, but just so you know, I normally start from the left and move right. And as I move, I come to the front and I go back. So that would be 1, 2, 3, moving to the right, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to roll a d6 to see where you place the rats. So the first one is a 6. So I will place 3 of them back here. Now don't worry, the rats are going to roam, so I will probably encounter them. And then I'm going to roll it again. 1. So they're in this. Oh no, they're back there. 1, 2, 3. Those 3. And then I'm going to roll one more time. And you can have multiple enemies in the same location. So I rolled a 6. So there, another 3 are back here. All right. So that is the start of the creatures. However, we're not done yet. There is one additional roll that you make before you start. Now, this is a sight battle. There are different types of encounters. A delve is going to use what's called Scenario E, sight battle. And it tells you how to set things up, but it says before you begin, you're going to do a first move. The heroes are here. One of them is going to be sent ahead to scout things out, to see what's going on. So you roll a D100, And I'm going to be using these two. Green is high for the tens digit, yellow is the ones digit. And I rolled a 12. So on here, a 12 is just another day on the job. The place smells of danger, but then everything tends to. No special adjustments. However, there are times when you'll place additional markers, like these. There are times when you'll place additional enemies, and they may not be rats. It'll tell you, like this one, number 16 to 30, says additional skeletons. And sometimes you get more adventure points if you end up doing something. But right now it looks like I've got a pretty straightforward dungeon to explore. Now, let me explain how the rats will move. On the creature phase, the rats start out unaware. They don't know about me. They can become aware if they get within line of sight of me or if they hear combat within a certain distance. There's rules for this, and I'll cover that when it happens. Excuse me. When I move one of my heroes into an exploration marker, there is a random chart that I will roll to see what is revealed. So we'll do that. And you may notice, I think you can notice from the video, there are exits off of the field. Here's one, here's one, here's one, of course the front one, and then there's one in the very back behind that column right there. Okay? So, what are those for? Well, the rules tell you that if you want to leave the delve, exit on these corridors. Now, apparently these corridors can lead to other parts of the dungeon, but because you're limited to like a 3x3 space, or at least I'm limiting, when I go off there, it's assumed that my heroes are safe. So I need to explore 3 of the exploration markers and resolve them. Now, I can do more. I can do all 6, because sometimes there's treasure in these things, but sometimes there's bad stuff. So I'll have to weigh what's going on and see how things work out. Now, a couple additional things. In the dungeon, the rules tell you that the dungeon is called Cramped Conditions. What that means is movement. It tells you base movements are reduced by 1 inch. Normally, all my heroes move 4 inches max on a turn. And they can dash, which allows them to move up to 7. But it says dash is not available in a delve. So no dashing. And because I'm losing that 1 inch, the heroes can only move 3 inches at a time. So they're taking their time. They're being very careful. But the rats are interesting. The rats have 2 traits, slippery and crawling. The slippery doesn't really matter here, but the crawling is an interesting one because it tells you that if enemies have the crawling trait, they ignore that 1 inch reduction. So the rats normally move 6 inches. They dash 4, so they can move up to 10 inches, and they'll do that if they see me. So normally they're just going to move 6 inches. And those enemies with crawling can also dash. So I can't dash, but they can. So I can move a maximum of 3 inches, but they can move up to 10 inches should they spot me. And that's not good for me. So anyway, all right. So I think I've got everything explained to a point, and I'll explain things as I go. This is one of those games that has a lot of rules. There's a lot of rules. I really need the physical book. I'm expecting it in September. So in the meantime, I've printed out pages that I'll be referencing. If I end up having to look for a rule and it's just taking too much time, I'll edit that part out of the video so you don't have to sit there and watch me do that. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to move this along and give you an idea of how a delve operates. Now, if you notice I make a mistake, please post a comment in the video's description or in the video comment section. Be nice about it. Don't be nasty. Just tell me, say, hey, I think you made a mistake. And if you can, give me a page number in the rulebook so I can reference it. Being that I've never seen a delve run, it's very possible I'm going to make an error. I may make many errors. I will try not to. But the whole thing here is just to have fun. So if I make an error, I try to learn from it, and I try not to do it again in the next game. So there we go. All right. Now, I have 6 characters. I have a warrior named Riven. He looks like this knight in armor here. I have Clack, who is this blue lizard creature. He is a preen. I have Lirak, who is a follower, not one of my heroes. He has a bow. It looks like a crossbow, but he actually has a bow. I have Dordor, who has a sword. He's just a follower. I have Jard, who is sort of like my thief or rogue, very fast, nimble. And then finally I have my wizard, which is Griffith. And the wizard is sort of the leader of the group. But he's in the very back, as leaders tend to do. Okay, the camera kicked off. I ran out of hard drive space. Sorry about that. Let's get going. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have 6 characters. I'm going to roll 6d6. And what I'm looking for is 1s and 2s. The game is broken into a series of phases. This is the initiative phase. Then there's the quick phase, the creature phase, the slow phase, and then finally the tracking phase, which is sort of like the wrap-up phase. During the quick phase, any character who has a die assigned to them of a 1 or 2 gets to move first. Then the creatures move in the creature phase, and then all other heroes will move in the slow phase. So what I'm looking for is 1s and 2s here. I rolled a single 2. So not good for me, but it looks like I'm sort of easing into the dungeon. So the 2 I'm going to assign to my fighter. That is Rilvan. He has an agility of 2, so I can assign this. If he had an agility of 1, I could only give him a 1. But if I had a 1 or 2, because he has an agility of 2, as long as it's equal to or less, I can assign it. So this will go to him. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this. The rules tell you to move it to a 1, and then put a 6 next to all, or a 3, I can't remember, next to all the other characters to indicate they're going to move in the slow phase, and turn them to 6 once they've moved to indicate that they have moved. It's a good way of tracking, just to make sure you don't miss something. All right, so on my first move, the fighter, Rilvan, is going to move 3 inches. He can't really move much further, so he will go here, and that's it. That is the end of the quick phase. Now it's the creature phase. Now remember, I have a set of 3 rats over here and a set of 6 over here. The treasures are labeled 1, 2, or the markers, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, these rats are going to rove around. They only can go, and the way this works is, in the game, they move towards exploration markers. Now, right now, there's only 1 that they can move to. So they're going to move from here to here, and because they don't see me, they're only going to move their normal move, which is 6 inches. So that would put them right about here. So I'm just going to move them as a group, and that's it. Now, they are what's called unaware. They don't know about me. However, once they return to an exploration marker that they've already been to, they become aware, which means they're much more alert and likely to come find me if I make noise or something like that. These up here, they can only move. Well, what I'm going to do is, technically this is the closer one, but there's this one. So I'm going to say that they are going to explore this one first, and then we'll roll to see if they go to the new one or return to the old one. So being that they can move 6 inches, that's pretty much to this marker. So they're all 6 going to move here. And 6 rats is a lot. That's not good. All right, and that is it for the creature phase. Now all of my characters will move their 3 inches to get closer into the dungeon. I'm not even going to use these dice right now because I know that, there we go. I've moved them all. All right, and that is the end of the slow phase. Now during the tracking phase, you would roll for morale, check to see if spells that were cast are still active or inactive, resolve any end of game or end of round activities. No rats were killed, so I don't need to make any morale rolls. When you kill an enemy, the enemy is removed, and at the end of the round during the tracking phase, for each enemy that was killed in that round, you roll a d6, and on a 1 or 2, another enemy will flee. So if I killed 2 rats, I would roll 2 dice, and if I rolled 2 1s or 2 2s or any mix of that, 2 enemies would flee. Otherwise, they don't flee. All right, so that's it for the tracking phase. Now, once again, all my heroes are alive, so I'm going to roll 6 dice. I rolled a 1, 2, 1, 2. So I've got some good movement here. I want to be careful. I want to get to I want to get to here, but I want all my heroes to be able to react to whatever this is. So let's check it out. The ones I will give to Clack, because he only has an agility of 1, and Lyrak I will give a 1. The 2, I had 2 1s and 2 2s. Did I actually? Okay. The 2 I will give to my fighter, and I will also give it to, I can't give it to Dardor because he has an agility of 1. Actually, yeah. So I have to give it either to Jard or, yeah, I have to give it to Jard because my wizard also has a 1 agility, so he can't move. So my wizard and this follower will not be moving during the quick phase. All right, so I can choose to dash, which, no, I can't. Dashing's not allowed in the dungeon. So I'm going to have to remember that. So it's 3 inches, and that moves him here, and here, here, and here. So those 3 have moved, and these 2 have not. So on my next turn, it looks like I'm going to be close enough to explore that marker right there. All right, now it's the creature phase. So here's how this works. The rats are moving. They're not within an inch of this exploration marker. So that's where they're moving. So this turn, they will move towards, they will move towards this, and that concludes their movement. They are not active. They're still unaware. They will become active if they move back to this one. So how do I know if they move back to that one? Well, I'm going to roll a die. And so what I'm looking for is I'm going to make this 1 to 3. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because those are the closest markers that they can move to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I rolled a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're going to move their remaining 2 inches this way. So they're just roaming around randomly. Now these 6, they can only go back to the one they were at, or they can come here. I really don't want them coming here. But then again, I don't want them going there because that'll make them aware. They're going to be more likely to attack me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're moving back to this one. All right, so now they are aware. And what I'm going to do to indicate that, I meant to say this. I'm going to put a red die on them when they are unaware, and I'm going to put a yellow to indicate they are, well, actually, unaware and aware is more dangerous, so I'll make that the red. Actually, I'll put a red die to indicate that they are aware. That is the end of the creature phase. These 2 guys will now move 3 inches and 3 inches. So I think what I'm going to have to do is get them spread out and let one of my heroes investigate. So let's go ahead and roll for initiative. I rolled a 1, a 2, and a 2. So I can assign. So I think I'm going to make, Rilvan he has light armor. So does Clack. So I'm going to give Rilvan the 2. I'm going to give Clack the 1. Actually, I want my crossbow guy who has an agility 1. I'll give him the 1, and I'll give Clack. Ooh, I can't give Clack the 2. Oh, this is where it's kind of tricky. It's like, okay, Rilvan has a 2. I gave him 2. Lyrak has the 1. The 2 can only be given to Jard. Jard has a, what does he have? He has a Warhammer, so that's not going to do me much good, but I'm going to assign it to him. I don't know. Let me rethink that. I want Clack in this fight. He has a crossbow, so he could take a shot. And then the 2 I will give to, I can't give it. It's going to be a waste. But that's okay. It's going to open up this crossbow because I'm going to move him to the side of this. I'm going to move Clack to the side of this. That opens up line of sight to the trip. And that is all I can do at this point. So before we go to the creature phase, I need to resolve what happens here. So in the book, and if you have the book and you want to follow along, I'm going to be rolling on, let's see, where is it? The objectives. Okay. Exploration markers. A warband character that moves within 3 inches and line of sight of an exploration will reveal it. You know, technically they were probably within 3, but I didn't remember that, so I'm gonna do it now, which is bad for me because if it's a monster, they're right in melee with it. So there is a small table here on page 145. It's a D100. Let's roll to see what this thing is. That is a 46. 46 is something hidden. Ooh, I like that. And then each one of these has a section, something hidden. There's markings here that suggest something has been buried or stashed out of sight. A warband member taking an interact action may make an 8+ scouting test to search. A success locates a hidden stash, in which case a loot roll may be made. A failure means they are unable to find anything. Double ones results in a trap. The searching character and everyone within 1 inch must test to avoid the trap. Okay, so I don't want to roll a trap, so I need an 8+ scouting. And I don't, does any of my characters have scouting as a skill? No. So the way you make a test, you roll 2d6, and I believe you're trying to equal or be greater than the number. So I need an 8+ scouting test. And I'm just trying to remember if that's the way this works. Let me look and see if I can find checks real quick. Spell casting. I may have to edit this part away. Proficiency test. Here you go. Crafting test. A target number proceeding to which is if the caliber has a result equal to or above. So yeah. So I'm looking for an 8 or above, and I'm going to have, I guess, Rilvan do this. It doesn't really matter because none of them. You know what I should have done? Well, I was going to retro it and take Clack back. That way he can take it. But he's moved, so he could take an action. He can still take an action. Because, but the result is 6 + 5 is 11. So they did find something. So let me make a note of that. That's cool. And it says, well, let me go back to page 145, I think I said. 145 said that if I find something, make a loot roll. So a loot roll is, let me see if I can find that. I think the loot roll is back here. Check for injuries. Loot roll. Loot is on page, it's like back in the back. Experience, follower, loot. Here we go. It's on page 196. So there's a small table that tells you whether you find valuables, weapons, armor, blah blah blah. It's a D100. I rolled a 14, which is valuables. So then I come to the valuables subtable and I roll a D100, and that is a 16, which is a bag of coins worth D6. So let's roll that, and I rolled 3, so I get +3 coins. So now I have 9, which is not a lot, but hey, I'll take it. All right, that is it for the fast phase. I'm going to take this marker and put it with my character sheet to indicate that I have successfully met one of the 3 goals. I remember I have to examine 3 of these. So that's the end of the quick phase. Let's see what the rats do. So these rats are heading here. I had said that they were going to go on. I had rolled to see where they were moving. So they're going over here. So they will move their full 6 inches, which is 4 and 2. So they'll end up right about here. And these guys are now aware. So if I remember right, with an aware enemy, aware figures find themselves in any of the following, they immediately become aware. If within 8 inches of line of sight, if within 2 inches of an exploration marker, there's already, so they are aware. Once an enemy becomes aware, they remain so for the rest of the battle and will not revert to patrolling or standing sentry. So unaware enemies are either patrol or sentries. Patrol, they're just doing that random movement. They're not sentries. The enemy groups that are placed initially are all patrols. At the start of the phase, each patrol random section, they will not deviate. Once a destination is determined, they will not deviate unless they become aware. Upon reaching their destination, patrol, any figures placed due to exploration are sentries, and they will become aware. So now, this is the confusing part. I'm not sure. Do they? I think they continue to move. They're aware, so they're going to move. They're looking. They're sort of like, they're trying to find me. I'll have to read this again to see if I'm doing this right, but I'm going to play it that way. So right now, they're going to move 6 inches, which is 2, 4. So they're going to walk right by this other group of rats, like, hey guys, what y'all doing? All right, and they are aware. These guys are still unaware. They're just randomly moving. Okay, that's it for the enemy phase. Now on the slow phase, these guys will need to move. So what I want to do next is I want to I cannot get to this one before these guys make it in here, and I don't know if I want to fight 6 rats right now. So let's go and do this one, and then we'll come back. We'll see what those rats are going to do. They're now looking, so when they get here, I'll make a random roll to see if they go this direction or this direction. But right now, these guys are going to move their 3, so they'll move there, 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 and there. And that is it for the slow phase. Now it's time for initiative. Now, if those rats were to make it here, and one of my guys was standing there, they are aware, so they're up to, I believe it said up to 6 inches awareness, within 8 inches in line of sight. So, yeah, they could possibly see me, so we will see. Let's roll. I rolled no 1s and 2s, so all of my guys are going to move in the slow phase. So the rats, these rats right here are still moving. They move 6 inches, so 5. They'll move right beyond these guys to right about here. And they're trying to get to this one. And then from there, I'll roll to see if they come back to this one or go to that one and become aware of themselves. These are going to move 6 inches. So they move 4 and then 2. So they'll move right about here. Not being exact with the measurements. You can be. I'm just trying to keep them sort of clumped together. And they are active. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This guy goes here. All right, and that is that. So now it is my turn, and I don't want to be in line of sight here. So I am going to move all of these guys. Well, this guy may have to move behind the column. He's going to move 3 inches, which means he can get to right there. He can move 3, which means he's going to get to right there. I'm going to move him. He's the... Oh, man. I can get him to right here. And hopefully on my next turn I can get him moved. He's going to move behind this column. He's bringing up the... Actually, yeah, he's going to move here. I'm going to move him behind this column for hiding. And I'm going to move my... Actually, I'm going to move him here to the wall so that if anybody comes through, he'd at least get a shot. All right, and then Jard will move behind the column to hide. All right, it's the best I can do. No enemies have died, so no morale roll. It is now back to initiative. I rolled 2 1s and a 2. So I need to figure out how to get these guys here. And remember, within 3 inches, which puts it right about there. I don't want to trigger this yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pull. I'm going to assign him the 1 because I don't want him there. I want him over here in case the rats come down the hall. He'll have some distance. I'm going to move him. Actually, 1 and another 1 would be the wizard is 1. I want to get the wizard out of that dangerous area. And Clack has 1. Rilvan has 2. Who else has 2? Jard has 2, so I can move Jard. All right. So on this turn, the wizard will move here. Actually, he'll move right about there. I don't want him getting too close to the exploration marker. He's moved. I want to move my crossbow guy back here. He can move 3, which puts him right about here. So he's moved. And then Jarred, I want him to move over here. And actually, I'll say the quarter can only be 2 by 2. So he has moved. All right, now my guys should be sufficiently hidden line of sight. They are. These rats are going to move 2, and then 4. So they will get over here near this treasure. They're like, hey, what's this? Now let's see where they're going to go. 1 to 2, and then they haven't explored down here, so I'll just call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I rolled a 4, so they are going to come this way. So we're going to have some combat coming up here pretty soon. All right, that is the... Oh, no, and these guys, they will move 2, and they check this one out, and they're like, oh, no, that's not what we want. And did I roll to see whether they... I did not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. They're going to spend their remaining 4 to go back here and check out this trap. So good. So far, so good. They're sort of staying out of the way. Now let me look at my wizard. My wizard has Weaken, Explore, Distract, Heal, and Shield as spells. And I really want to... The reason I'm telling you that is I want to make sure that I ready my spell if I need to. I printed out the spells somewhere. What did I do with them? Because I want to make sure I get a spell off before I need it, if that makes sense. So I must have not printed it. I thought I did. So I'm going to go back to the wizard page and look at spells just so I know what my options are. And give me just a minute. Spell casting. Here we go. All right. So I told you he has Weaken, and I remember Weaken's not good. Weaken is just, let's see. Weaken is one enemy negates the tough trait. These guys are not tough. Explore, I don't want to use that one. Distract. Distract is not a good one. It's for a ranged shooter, so I'm not doing that. Heal and Shield. Heal I don't need yet, so Shield. Shield is one ally. All ranged attacks aimed at the spell's target or a character within 3 inches of them will hit only on a natural 6. Man, I don't have any spells worth, except for Heal. That's a good one. All right, so let's play this out. They're going to... I already moved them, so the slow characters will move now, which is Lyrak. Oops, I have magnets in these. Clack and Griffith, or Rilvin, my fighter, will shift to the right because he knows these rats are coming. He heard the tracks, the skittering. Actually, you know what? I may just pull him to where he's visible, line of sight, which will pull the rats in this direction and allow me to hit them from both sides. We will see how that works out. All right, so all my characters have moved. There are no dead rats, so no morale roll, and it's now time for initiative. I roll good. I rolled a whole bunch of 2s, 4 2s, and I rolled a 1. That one rotated. All right, so the problem is almost all my characters have agilities of 1. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them and 2 2s. So I might as well assign, let's see how I want to play this. I definitely want Clack to trigger that because he's another fighter. He's got a crossbow and a sword, but he's going to use the crossbow. So actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have Lyrak, who's a follower. He has a bow and a standard sword, so he's going to use his sword. Lyrak is a 1, so I will assign him a 1. And then the only 2s I can do are Rilvin, which is him, and another 2 is Jarred. And unfortunately, that's the best I can do. these are going to go to waste. So Lirak will move in front of the exploration marker. So let's go ahead and resolve that. The exploration marker, is a D100. Let's see what I roll here. I'm consulting this chart again. I rolled a 33, which is an item. Make a loot roll. Hey, all right. The loot roll was on page 196, I believe. Good memory. 196. So roll another D100 to see what type of loot it is. That is a 67, which is a tool. All right, a tool. Go over to the tool subtable, roll a D100. And I rolled a 52, which is a ranger's cloak. Ooh, I like that. Don't know what it is, but ranger's cloak. I will take this, set it over here on my character sheet to indicate I've successfully met 2 of the objectives. And my other characters are going to move. Jard will move. You know, at this point, I know combat's coming. So Jard will just move here. And that's enough for him to sneak by the 8 inches so that he won't be spotted. I'm going to have let's see, who else moves? Oh yeah, they're all fine. This was the fast phase. Yeah, fast. I'm going to have him just move to the side to protect the wizard. And I'm going to have him stay put. So that is it for the fast phase. These rats are going to move. They don't see me, so they're only going to move 6 inches, which puts them right here. And at this point, they can see my crossbow guy. They can also see my fighter. So they're going to move their remaining 4, which puts them, I'm going to move this, well, I'll leave it, which puts them not in melee, not in base contact yet. So we shall see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm missing one. 6. 6 rats. And of course, by the time they get here, they can also now see Jard. It is now the slow phase. Slow phase was my crossbow guy, my wizard, and that was it. Yeah, because I assigned pretty much all the die. So I just had 2 that could not do. So wizard and crossbow guy. So the wizard, he hears one of the heroes yell out, "Rats!" So he's going to run. I don't want him revealing himself, so he's going to stay behind this column and move up just a little bit. That is all I can do with the wizard. The crossbow guy can take a shot, so he will shoot. So the way this works is this is ranged combat. There are 2 types of attacks, ranged and melee. Ranged is base to base, or I'm sorry, melee is base to base, ranged is ranged. To score a hit, I'm going to roll a d6. If the creatures are within 6 in the open, which they are, I only need a 3 or higher to hit. Now, he is combat of +0, so there's no modification to this roll. So I need a 3 or higher to hit. A natural 1 is always a miss. If the shooter is stationary, you add their combat skill. He is. A miss shot goes nowhere and has no effect. If he had moved, I believe there is a penalty. Actually, he can only move half if he wants to shoot. So he's going to stay put. I could move him. Could pull the rats back, and he would still get... Characters intending to make any ranged attack cannot move above half their speed because they need time to aim and reload. So, yeah, let's do that. Let's move him just a little bit further. He can move about here, and he'll take a shot at this front rat. So I need a 3 or higher. I rolled a 6. Unfortunately, a 6 is not a crit. This is not. I think there are some rules, like maybe with spells, that 6s can be, but in this case, it's just a hit. Now, once you hit, you have to go through their armor first and then through their toughness. Now, the rats have no armor, so you skip that roll. Their toughness is 3. I have to roll a 4 or higher. You have to beat the toughness, not equal it. So I need a 4 or higher to kill a rat. I rolled a 1, so he missed. All right, that is it for the slow phase. Now let's roll for initiative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need some 1s and 2s here. I got 2 2s and a 1. All right, well, that helps. I want my crossbow guy to, and he has, or actually he's not a crossbow, he's just a bow. I keep calling him crossbow. See, he can just fire again. He is an agility of 1, so he gets the 1. Rilvin is a 2. I want him attacking. And the other one, the 2, would be Jard, who is right there. So Jard will also attack. Okay. This is going to involve melee combat. So here's how this works. I'm going to first have my guy see if he can hit a rat. If you'll remember, he has no combat, so it's just a 3 or higher. He rolls a 6 again, so he hit. No armor, so he needs to roll a 4 or higher to kill a rat. And I rolled a 2, so he misses. He sucks. So he doesn't get to move because he already fired. Rilvin is going to move into base combat with 1. Now here's how melee combat works. This is just one of the coolest things about this game, I think, is this 3 exchange combat. Anytime one of your heroes moves in contact with an enemy, you're going to do what's called a 3 exchange melee combat. You first select your weapon. Well, he has a standard sword. He has a standard sword. So no modifications there. But he also has combat plus 0, so he gets no modifying there. He does have a shield, so he gets a parry, which I'll cover that in a minute if I need it. So the way this works is, I'm the attacker, the rat is the defender. If the rat had moved into contact with me, the rat would be the attacker and I would be the defender. So what you do is you are going to choose how you're going to fight. You can fight defensively, fight evasively, or fight furiously. If you fight defensively, you roll twice and pick the best roll. But if you win, you don't do any hits. You just defended yourself. If you fight evasively, you roll normally, and if you win, you can move away 2 inches. So it's sort of like backing up. And then finally, fight furiously. You choose to fight furiously. If you win, you get +1 on the overcome armor or the overcome toughness. Now, in this case, they don't have armor, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to choose to fight furiously. I'm going to use a red die for the rat and a green die for me. And what I'm looking is to basically beat the rat's roll. If the rat wins, he doesn't do damage to me. He just becomes the attacker in the next round. So, and I have no modifier to combat, so it's just a straight dice versus dice. I rolled a 6 to its 3. I win the combat. Now, there's no armor, so now I just have to roll to beat its toughness. Now, if you remember, I'm fighting furiously, so I get a +1 to my overcome toughness. So instead of rolling a 4 or higher, I just need to roll a 3 or higher. And I rolled a 2. You know what? My Rilvin has no luck and no will, so never mind. He can't really, and I don't want to burn a story point. Do I want to burn a story point to modify that? Yeah, I'm going to burn a story point just to show you how it works. So now I'm down to 2 story points. I hate to do this so early in the game, but there's 6 rats to my 3 guys. So I'm going to roll it again. I need a 3 or higher, and I rolled a 6. So 1 rat is gone. So that was well worth the story point, sort of. Not really, but I burned it. All right, so he has moved. And now Jard is going to step up, and Jard will attack a rat. Jard has +0 for combat, but he does have armor, and so did Rilvin. But armor we haven't figured that out yet. I'm the attacker, rat's the defender, and since I have no combat bonus, it's just green versus red. I rolled a 4 to his 1, so I win the combat. No armor bone, and I'm fighting furiously, by the way. All my guys are fighting furiously because there's just no reason to run away. I've got to fight these things. So now I have to overcome its toughness. I get the +1, so I need to roll a 3 or higher. I rolled a 2. I'm not burning another story point. I'm going to need those at some point. So Jarred missed. So now it's the rat's turn. Oh no, I'm sorry. You know what? It's three back and forth. So now the rat becomes the attacker. So the rat and Jarred are going to duke it out. And again, I'm just rolling the same dice. And I beat the rat. So this is the second exchange. Now, I win, but I don't do any damage. Because I was the defender, I successfully defended. But now I'm going to get one more chance at killing this rat. So you roll it again. I rolled a 2 to 2. A tie. If there is a tie, on a draw, the defender retreats 1 inch backwards, with the attacker remaining in place and the melee ends. So this rat is going to move 1 inch back. All right. Which really doesn't matter because they can move and engage me anyway. So now it is the creature phase. Let's go ahead and deal with these guys. These guys now have a choice. They can come back. Actually, they're going to move to here, and they're still unaware. They have 2 choices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So they're going to move back to here, and when they reach here, they're going to become aware, which means they'll hunt me down. So they're going to go 2, 4. They're right about there. And they are also now aware. And that yellow token can go away wherever I did with it. So everybody's aware now. So I need to finish these guys off before these 3 come. All right, what are these going to do? Well, let's just do it in order. This one is going to step forward and attack. So he's the attacker. I rolled a 2 to its 5. He wins. That rat wins. However, I have parry because he has a shield. It says sometimes a figure has just the right item to deflect blows. Parrying is a combat benefit only available to characters with certain items or weapons. I have a shield and it does come with that. If such a character rolls a natural 1 when defending in melee combat, they deflect the blow. I rolled a 2, so I did not deflect it. Stun or other effect, multiple parry sources have no additional effect. Okay, so the rat is +0 combat. My fighter is +0 combat. So the rat won. He needs to roll. My toughness is 3. So the rat needs to roll a 4 or higher to take out my fighter. And he rolled a 5. So guess what? I'm going to burn another story point. I can't do this. So I'm going to, for this story point, I'm going to say that the roll of the parry was a 1. All right. And he did deflect it. So now I'm going to get, and I become the attacker. So I'm going to swing back, hopefully hit. I rolled a 6 to its 5. That's a hit. I need to beat, and I'm doing aggressively, so I need to roll a 3 or higher to kill that rat. I rolled a 5, so that rat is also gone. Story points are there for a reason. Use them. But I'm down to 1 story point. So this is, and you do recover those at some time. You don't recover them at the end of the game. They don't go back up to what they were. There are certain events in the game that you'll roll that may say you gain a story point. So I'm hoping I'm going to get some more story points. All right. This rat, that one's already fought, so we'll move him there. So I got 3 more rats. The rat here is going to move and attack him. This rat is going to move to attack him, and this rat is going to move to attack him. So I've got three different situations going on here. Let's do Rilvan. That rat becomes the attacker, so he's red. I rolled it's a tie, so I'm the defender, so I get to move back 2, which is good for me. This rat is going to attack Jarred, and I win 6 to 2, so I become the attacker this time. So now I'm going to attack. This is second exchange. I rolled a 2 to its 1, so I did hit it. And now I have to try to overcome its toughness. I have +1, so I need to roll a 3 or higher. I rolled a 5, so that rat is toast. This rat attacks my and he has a sword. So at the beginning of the combat, I chose... No, this is the beginning of melee, so I can choose which weapon. So he pulls his sword. That's how that works. And he's going to fight. So he's the defender. I rolled a 6 is 5, so I defended. This is the second exchange. I'm now the attacker. I rolled 6 to 1, so I hit, and now it's +1, so I need a 3 or higher to kill that rat, and I rolled a 3, so that rat is also toast. Now, that is the end of all of the rats attacking. It is slow phase, which means I'm going to have Lyrak move back. He's going to move 3. Clack can move 3, which is not enough to kill a rat, but he can go there, and I'm going to just have my wizard sit tight. Now, here's the fun part. There are 2 rats left, and I killed 4, so I get to roll 4d6s. On a 1 or 2, a rat will flee. So I just need a 1 and a 2, or a 2-1, whatever. I got 2 1s, so these remaining rats flee. I will not see them again. So I'll put them over here. All right, that was fun. That was cool. Make sure that my computer is still recording because I keep seeing I'm still going. I think. Is it still recording? Yep. All right. So this is good. This is very good. I've got 1 group of rats left. So let's regroup. It is now initiative phase, so I'm going to roll 6 dice. I want to go after that one up there. I rolled a 2, a single 2. So who am I going to put in front line? I'm going to put Rilvan. Rilvan will move first, so he will move 3, which puts him right about here. The rats are going to move 5. That moves 4, 1, so they're moving right here. And now all my other characters can move. So I'm going to sort of group everybody together. 1, 2, he'll move up to here. He'll move to right here. He'll move to right here. And right there. Just trying to gather everybody up. All right. That is the end of the slow phase. No combat this turn, so no morale rolls. I need to roll. And the rats already moved, so now it's initiative phase again. I rolled a single 1. So this time I'm going to have Rilvan move to the front, and I'm going to have everybody sort of gathering behind him. I should put my followers up front. That's probably what I should do. I'm going to do that in a minute. So now it's the rats' turn. Rats are going to move 3 and 2, which will put them right about here. And I'm going to... They can... I'm going to say they can't see. They just sort of come around the corner. They're not aware. On the next turn, they will be aware. They are definitely there. That is it for that turn, and now we roll initiative again. This game is interesting. A lot of times the phases just go very, very fast. I rolled a 2 and a 2. So I can give the 2 to Rilvan. Actually, I want Lyrak and Darder only have 1, so all I can do is give it to Jard. And I don't want Jard, although Jard does have armor and a Warhammer, which has got +1 versus armor, but unfortunately these guys don't have armor. So I'm going to move him up front. That is the end of the fast phase. Now the rats see me. I'm going to go... They're going to... 2 are going to engage Rilvan, and 1 will engage... Because I'm going to pull Jard back just a little bit. So 1 rat would go to him, 2 would go to Rilvan. All right, let's see how this plays out. Now remember, I've still got slow phase, so I'm going to be able to clean up, hopefully, anything that lasts. So there's 2 against Rilvan. Let's do the first one. First one attacks and wins. So I need a 4 or higher for the rat to... He did not. He did not defeat Rilvan. Now it's second exchange. He remains. And he hit again. And he missed. Wow. Okay. And the final one, final exchange, I win. Whew. All right, let's see if... Now, I was the defender there. So I was successful. How did that work? He attacked again. I become the attacker. So on this third exchange, on the third exchange, I won, which means I'm the defender, so I get to move 2 back, but I'm not going to. There's another rat there. Let's do this one. I'm the defender. I win, so I become the attacker. So now, but I do no damage. I just won the defense. So now I'm going to attack, and I lost. The rat becomes the attacker, and the rat rolls a 4 versus my 1. So the rat does hit, and I don't want him to roll a 4 or higher. I rolled a 5. So Rilvan is a casualty. I'm going to take him out, so I'm going to explain. He's not dead yet. He could be, but he's not dead yet. He has no luck and no will, so he can't do anything about that. Now, let's go to Jard. Jard is the defender, and Jard beats it, so Jard becomes the attacker. And 6 to 5, so now the rat is the attacker. And it's a tie, which means I can move back 2, and I'm going to do that. All right. Man, that stinks. Now the slow phase. I'm going to send Clack in. Clack's going to engage this one right here. I'm going to choose Fight Furiously. I get a 6 to 1, so I definitely win. I go through his armor, no worries. +1 to this roll. I need a 3 or higher. And I got a 4, so that rat is dead. And I'm going to put that one here. These have already been rolled for morale, so they don't affect this. So this rat may affect the morale of those. Bow guy is going to fire at this rat. It's a ranged attack, so all I've got to do is roll a 3 or higher. Is that right? 3 or higher. Rolled a 6, so it hits. Goes through the armor. I need a 4 or higher, or toughness 4 or higher. I rolled a 4, so another rat is dead. And then finally, I don't want to have the wizard do anything, so I think I'm going to just have... I can do Lirak. Lirak's going to step up and fight. He's the attacker. He's aggressive. I rolled a 1 to 6, which means the rat now becomes the attacker. The rat does hit me, and Lirak has +0 combat, so toughness of 3, so 4 or higher will knock him out. And I rolled a 3. He's fine. That is the end of the slow phase. Let's do initiative. All I need, I'm going to roll 2 dice because there's 2 dead rats. All I need is a 1 or 2 on one of these dice for that rat to flee. I rolled 2 2s. So the final rat decides I've had enough of this and flees. So what happens now? Well, there are no more creatures left, but these objectives can still be investigated. Rather than do this a little at a time, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play it out that they all move forward. And I'm going to have, because hey, I'm not really concerned about my followers, I'm going to make my follower go forward and trigger this one. So let's see what this is. Hey, we pay you well. You go investigate it. Let me find that chart. Here it is. All right. D100. Now, remember, I found an item, and I also found something hidden, but options are trap, guarded stash, ambush, environmental hazard. There's all kinds of things it could be. 63 is a trap. All right, trap. The character springing the trap must succeed on a 10+ expertise test or be struck. And if he is struck, there's a thing to see what happens. So let's see if I need a 10 or higher on 2d6s. Oh, man, okay. I rolled an 8, so he did not. So he triggered the trap. Let's see what the trap is. It's a D100 here. That is a 13, which is lethal trap, really. The character is struck by a dart, falls in a pit, or struck by a blade swing, inflict a +1/+0 hit. So here's where you roll to see if it hits. It's a trap, so I'm going to use a red die. It's +1 versus armor. He has no armor. So it goes straight to see if he hits. His toughness is a 3, was it? Lirak is toughness of 3. So a 4 or higher will kill him. I rolled a 2. So he dodged the trap, and I got my third and final one. Now here's the clincher. I've successfully met the objective for the delve. But do I get greedy? Do I go and investigate those 3? Because, there's always a chance I could find more loot, find something hidden. But there's another chance that I could fall into a trap, trigger an ambush, something like that. So I tell you what, as much as I know you guys are wanting me to take a risk, I've already lost Rilvan. I have 1 story point left, which is enough to save him should I roll bad on the injury table. So I am going to choose the better part of valor, and my guys are going to leave the delve with their 3 objectives met, and that will be the end of this battle or this site encounter. I'm going to go ahead and shut the game down, and up to the end of this video, I will append the post-game rolls. So you'll be able to see the results of what happens to Rilvan. Maybe I can sell some of the things I found, like this Ranger's Cloak. I got to figure out what that is. I got some more gold, but I'm down to 1 story point, so not good. All right, that's it for the delve. I'm going to take a moment, take a break, and then come back to the table and do the post-game rolls, so stay tuned. Join me for that. It will be at the end of this video. And then the next video in this series will be the pre-rolls to determine what my next encounter is. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, now it's time for the resolution phase. I would honestly say that this is probably, I could honestly say this is probably my favorite part of the whole game, but that's not true because there are 3 phases. There's that pre-game roll, which is kind of fun. You figure out what you're going up against and what adventure you want to go on. And then the combat part is fun. And now you got the resolution to see what happens. So it's all just, I can't decide which is my favorite, but I do like the resolution phase, although this time around, because I've got 1 hero who was a casualty, we'll see. All right, so here's what we're going to do. On page 187, if you're following along in the rule book, there are various, I'm going to get my adventure points. Now, right now, I believe I have 6 total. So it says, was there a victorious enemy threat encounter or raid? Yes, there was. So you roll a d6 to see how many adventure points you get. I rolled a 2, so I get plus 2 adventure points. And remember, you use these adventure points to move the game forward with objectives that you're going to meet. Milestones are what they're called. I have a total of 8 now. And I'm not ready to use those, so we'll skip that part. It says, did I defeat an aberration or a unique foe? No. Did I defeat a lieutenant or captain? No. Did I finish a contract? No. So all I'm going to get out of this is those 2 points. Now, check for injuries. Step 2. There was no flight in the darkness. Flight in the darkness is if you flee a battle without finishing the objective. Even if I finished the objective and one of my people left the game, like ran away, they would have to roll on the flight in the dark table. But because all my guys stayed put, I only had Rilvan who took an injury. Now what you do is there is a table on page 188. You roll a D100 to see what happens. And I'm really hoping that Rilvan survives this. However, I do have a story point that I could burn if I need to. So you roll these and see what happens. Come on. I rolled a 32, which is injuries, moderate. Recovery is D6 turns. That's not what I wanted. I also don't want to burn a story point because if I burn a story point and re-roll, I have to take the re-roll. So, how long is he going to be out? 2 turns. So Rilvan is out for 2 game turns. I believe that's how that works. Let me double check. Injury. Injury. Come on, where is it? Dead? Moderate. D6 recovery time. Here it says, recovery times is the number of campaign turns the character will miss. So this is campaign turn 2. So he will miss campaign turn 3 and campaign turn 4. I'll have to figure out how I can replace him because going down to 5 heroes is not going to be good. All right, well, that was step 2. Let's go on to step 3. Step 3 is check for advancement. During the campaign, your heroes will gain XP if they survived an encounter, slayed an aberration or enemy, or held the field. I technically, did I held the field? I think I did. I think I held the field. Well, it says, or achieved the objective. I did achieve the objective. During this step, any of your heroes has reached a new XP. They will make an advancement roll. All right. So see the experience points on page 193. So let's go to page 193. And it says, advancement. I get plus if you survived the encounter. They all survived. He didn't get killed. So each one of them gets plus 1 XP. Let me get my character sheet out here and update this. So, oops. So they each get plus 1 for surviving. XP is 3, 4. Followers don't get XP, if I remember right. They don't. They just get... There's something they get, but I'm trying to remember what it was, but I'm not going to look at that up right now. So all of my guys have 4 XP, except for the Wizard Griffith, who has 3. Enemy leader slain. There was no enemy leader. Plus 1 XP to the hero delivering the killing blow. Heroic Slayer held the field or objective, plus XP to all heroes left on the table. That's the one where Rilvan will not get. So Wizard goes up to 4, Jard goes up to 5, and Clack goes up to 5. All right, well that's good. Now, when you reach XP 4, you get 1 advancement roll. So technically, all of my guys will get an advancement roll. When they hit 9 XP, they get another one. 15, they get another one. 22, they get another one. So it goes up. So here was it. After heroes reach the point, they qualify for advancement. The advancement table indicates what XP totals a hero receives a new advancement roll, and total number of advancement rolls a hero will receive at that point. All right, so whenever an advancement roll is made, roll a D100 on the appropriate advancement table. So here we go. Advancement table for non-mystics. All of my characters are non-mystics except for Griffin. This is a D100. So let's do for Griffith, who is a mystic. This is on page 194. I rolled a 14, which is a skill selection. So I'm going to write that in. He gets plus skill. And that's the skills are like agility, speed, combat, toughness, things like that. So he gets a skill selection. Select any... No, I'm sorry. That's wrong. Those are specific increases. A skill is a skill, which is on page 195. Skills may be selected from the below. So I will get to select a new skill. He has speech and devotion. So I'll choose another one. I'm not going to choose it right now, although maybe I will. Alchemy, battle-wise, crafting, devotion, expertise, leadership, pathways, scholar, scouting, speech, traveling, wilderness. I don't know what these are, so rather than waste your time with me hunting it up, I'll review that later, and I'll let you know what I chose in the pre-rolls for turn number 3. All right, now all the others are going to get a roll on the non-mystic subtable. So let's go down the thing. We'll do Rilvan. Rilvan rolled a 57, which is... combat skill increase. He needed that. Rilvan is now plus 1 combat. Let's roll for Jard. Jard rolls a 21, which is agility or speed increase. I really don't... His agility is 2. I can increase it to 3, which means if I rolled a 3 on the die, I could assign it to him. Or I could give him a 1, 2, or 3. I would prefer the speed increase, so I'm going to move that up to 5. His speed increase is now 5 versus 4. And then finally, Clack. I rolled a 42, which is casting. Oh, no, non-mystic. 42 for non-mystic is agility or toughness. Agility is 1. I'm fine with that. I want to increase his toughness to 4. It makes him harder to kill. That means an enemy has to roll a 5 or higher to defeat him. So that is it for the advancement. Follower advancement. Followers do not make rolls, but have a chance to acquire new talents. For each follower who remains on the table at the end of the battle, roll a D100 and consult the flash of insight. You know what? I didn't do this the first time around. Followers do not make rolls. For each follower who remains on the table at the end of the battle. So last time it was Rilvan. No, it was Lirak who did not remain on the table. So he would not have gotten an advancement roll, but Dardor would have. So let's roll post. This is retro. Let's roll for Dardor on the follower advancement on page page 195. That is a 63, which is a skill gained. So I get a plus skill for Dardor, and I will. It says if he has none, and he does not have any skills, so he's going to get a skill. Now, both Lyrak and Dardor survived this last encounter, so let's do Lyrak. Lyrak rolls a 72, which is a skill. Select a skill of your choice. So he gets a skill, and it doesn't say if you have none. So there is a chance that even if you have a skill, you could gain another one. So he's going to get a skill. And then Dardor rolls a 21, which is nothing gained. All right. So there we go. That's all we have for the advancement. So let's go back. Now we do a roll for loot. So step 3 is done. Step 4 is loot, and it says you may roll once on the loot chart. So let's go to page 196. And let's roll a D100. And it's this table right here. I rolled an 11, which is valuables. So then I roll on the valuables table, which is a 57 jar of spices, which is worth D3 plus 1. So a 5 is actually a 3 plus 1. So I got a jar of spices, which I can sell. It's worth 4 gold, but I think you can only sell it for 1. Its value is 4. This is something in the game that kind of I'm not quite sure about. Almost everything you find in the game can be sold during the pre-roll phase for 1 gold mark. But the value of it is 4. Why tell me the value of it if I can only sell it for 1? I don't get that. So I may have to look that up. So it's 4 gold marks. Step 5. Let's keep going. I think step 5 is roll for unusual finds. So this one's a fun one. If you held the field, roll a D100 on unusual finds. See, that's the thing. I think I held the field because I defeated all the enemies. Now, it's possible new enemies would have popped up if I had investigated those 3 remaining treasures. So you know what? I just don't know. And you know, what I was fighting was rats. It's not like they're going to drop anything of value. So I'm going to skip that roll, and I'm going to say, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to say, just hold the field. Hold the field. What does that mean? If there are still exploration markers in a delve, does that mean you did not hold the field? I'm going to find that out. All right, so step 5 is over. And I'm trying to be fair about this. I could say, oh, no, I found something cool. But, you know, they were fighting rats. It's not like the rats were carrying anything of value. So since I didn't go for those remaining 3 and there could have been monsters attached to those, I'm going to say I didn't hold the field. And if I find out that I did hold the field, I'll come back and roll on that table. All right, so that's no unusual finds. Step 6 is settle in. If you were in the same map area as a settlement, you can begin the next campaign turn in town or in camp. The delve was in the same area as where I am located, and let me see if I can show you that. So the delve, I was in this north station, and the delve was right here, which was, I had said it was in the same area. So I did not have them do a travel thing. So I can go back to North Station. So I'm going to go to town, and that will open up certain roles in the pregame roles. The next set of roles that I'll do. All right, step 7. News travels. Roll a D100 on the news table. All right, let's do that. And that is 76. Sorry, I was just making sure the video was still rolling. 76 is an old ruin has become home to strange creatures. Randomly select a settlement and place a delve in the same map area. So it says randomly select a settlement. Okay, so here's how many settlements. I have Oak Pass, North Station, and I think that was it. That was it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, it's near Oak Pass. That's an area. 3, 4, 5, 6, it's near North Station. And you can see the rolls. 2, so it's up near here. So I'm going to put a dot, and I'm going to put delve, and I'll update my map with that new delve. And this is the delve I just went on for turn 2. Okay, right there. If I return to this delve, the next time I'll go to level 2. Possibly. We'll check that out in just a second. All right, so step 7 was the ruins, a new delve. So if I want to do a level 1 delve again, but here's the thing. If I go to that new delve, it will be a level 1 delve, but I won't encounter rats. I will move down the chart because all the delves use the lurking foes table. So no matter what I choose next for a delve, I'm going to be going up against giant bugs. +4 to number, 6 and 3, so they can dash for 9. Their toughness is 3, but they have armor of 1. So when I hit one, I've got to go through the armor first before I test to see if I go through the toughness and kill them. So that's going to be a little harder. All right, so that was step 7, and that is it for the post-game rolls. Now, let me go back to page 140, and the reason being is since I'm recording this, I want to let you know how this is going to work. So I'm doing a delve, which is select your adventure. Let me see, where is that? The adventuring stage. Hold on, let me find the delve. Delves, here we go. On page 93, I just explored a delve. Each time you visit, you set up the battle, blah, 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 lurking foes, there are depths. Each time you complete a depth, roll a d6. If the roll is below the depth number you just completed, you have reached the end. This was depth number 1. I cannot roll below a 1. So there will be a level 2 to the depth. Let's say I complete that. The only way to make sure that's the end of that delve would be to roll a 1. If I roll a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, there's going to be a 3rd level. Let's say I go down to the 3rd level. To check to see if there's a 4th level, I roll a d6, and I need to roll a 1 or 2. If I roll 3, 4, 5, or 6, there is a 4th level. And unfortunately, I told you recently that there were a maximum of 4 levels. That's not true. This thing can go down to 7 levels. 7, once you reach level 7, you'll always roll below 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, which means that's the maximum level. So as the delve gets deeper, you encounter more enemies. There's a chance you might encounter a captain or a unique foe. The number of exploration markers increases, but also the number of loot rolls increase. So that's really good. On this one, it says no loot rolls, but I got the loot roll because I met my objective. If I met my objective on a level 5 delve, I would get 2 loot rolls because I got a +1 modifier. So just wanted you to be aware that that's coming. Okay, so Rilvan is out for 2 turns. What I've got to determine, I've got to go read the rules again, is how can I replace him? I don't know if I can. I'll have to. I think maybe in one of the pre-rolls I can go recruiting. I'm pretty sure I can do that to replace him and let him heal up. I'm also going to investigate the value of the Ranger's Cloak, the spices, see what I can sell them for. And I'm also going to hunt down the answer about whether holding the field, if you get your objectives met for a delve, is that the same as holding the field? I bet it's not, but maybe I'll get lucky and it is. Anyway, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me for combat turn number 2 and post-roll or resolution phase for turn number 2. In the next video, I'll be rolling up the pre-rolls to see what is going on in the lives of my characters and what my next combat battle report will be. All right, everybody, take care. See you in the next video.